Hello, everyone. Emily here with the Art of Senior Fitness Program Design. We've got a couple minutes before we officially get started, but I've been having some technical difficulties. Seems like a new one keeps popping up each week. So definitely wanted to join early this week to check all of my devices and make sure that we're live. So please feel free to grab a coffee, grab your lunch, depending on where you are in the world. And we are going to talk about reviewing the role of recreation and fitness during the pandemic and moving forward. So I really want to even hear from you guys today. Hopefully you'll be commenting and telling me your experiences, what's working, what's not, and we can actually get some really good outside input as well. So welcome everyone. Again, if you're just joining, my name is Emily. I'm going to make sure that we're live. Perfect. I see we are live on LinkedIn. Facebook. Perfect. You guys can hear me. So that was the issue last week. You could not hear me on Facebook. LinkedIn, the visual has not been working for weeks, and then I just got the email from LinkedIn this morning that I was back up and running. So super excited to see that email, and then quickly changing all the social media posts to let you guys know that you don't have to join just on YouTube and Facebook. You can join in on LinkedIn and Facebook. And let's see what's going on here on LinkedIn. See if we are live. Perfect. There we go. We're live on LinkedIn as well. So welcome everyone who's just joining us. We still have a couple of minutes before we officially get started here. And let's see. I want to make sure I can see that. There we go. Live on LinkedIn. Beautiful. Okay. Welcome everyone. If you're just joining, feel free to throw some comments down, say hello, let me know that you're listening today. And this week, more than any other week, I really want to hear from you. So please feel free to throw in some comments. Let me know what's working for you, what's not working, what this time has been like for you. I think that's going to bring a lot of value to both our individuals on Facebook and LinkedIn, and then later on our YouTube channel. What I will do is I'll just read out your insight that you might be sharing because we've got some on LinkedIn, we've got some on Facebook. So for both to be able to be part of the conversation, I'll just read it out so that they can hear it as well. All right. And again, welcome to anyone who's just joining us. This is the Art of Senior Fitness Program Design. I lead it nearly every Friday, except for last Friday where we had some technical difficulties. And now that those are all fixed, we are going to continue on with the topic from last week, which is reviewing the role of recreation and fitness during the pandemic and moving forward. So this is a topic I'm really excited to talk about today. And I'm really excited to hear from all of you as well as to what has been going well and maybe what some opportunities have been during this time. All right, well, it is officially time to get started, so I'll start my recording here and we'll get going. So welcome everyone. My name is Emily Johnson. I am the founder and creative director of Stronger You Senior Fitness, Canada's first pre-choreographed senior fitness series. And this is the Art of Senior Fitness Program Design. I come to you nearly every Friday to talk about fitness and recreation and all these sorts of things. And today, we're going to talk about the role of recreation and fitness during the pandemic and its role moving forward. So something I'm very excited to talk about today. And I also want to let you know, I know we've been incredibly busy during this time, and sometimes it feels hard to sit down for a full 30 minutes. So please feel free to watch the replay later. It'll be on the Stronger You Senior Fitness LinkedIn and Facebook pages. It'll be on our YouTube channel. And if you're watching this later, please still feel free to comment, ask questions, add to the conversation as we go. All right, so let's jump right into it. Let me move over here. All right, so coronavirus, oh my gosh. If I take us back to March, when we first heard about COVID-19, I don't know about you, but I truly thought this was going to be just like any other kind of influenza-esque outbreak. And I thought, you know what, this is going to last for a few weeks. We're going to kind of batten down the hatches. We're going to do what we're used to doing. And then, we're going to be on with our lives. And boy, how and if you're in the same boat as me, how we were wrong to think that, this will just be a little blip on the radar. This is something that's certainly going to go down in history, and it's something that we're still not totally sure about, and we're still battling every single day. We had such a stark reaction, and businesses being closed, people staying home. And if we look at the reaction in senior living, fitness, and community centers, for a lot of these organizations, number one priority was safety. So throughout today, I'm going to talk about kind of these two areas separately: senior living and fitness and recreation settings, and kind of what I've seen there, and kind of some best practices moving forward. So if we look at senior living specifically, I think what kind of put everyone into panic mode was we had some really bad instances in the United States first. That was kind of the first time we heard about some deaths, some real spread of COVID-19. And, here in Canada where I'm at, I know immediately we went into outbreak mode. And the senior living industry is incredibly well equipped to deal with outbreaks. Every year, they deal with influenza outbreaks. They know the policies, the procedures. They know how to keep their residents safe. And the coronavirus was no different. And I know despite maybe some things that you've seen in the news, but most senior living organizations, most, not some, most, did an incredible job of keeping their residents safe and continue to keep their residents safe today. So that's absolutely number one. Then we look at the recreation, the fitness side of things. So for a lot of these organizations, they did have to shut down, and they had to stop their programming, and they had to kind of wait it out, so to speak. So now we're battening down the hatches. We're kind of putting our plans in place. So what happened next from there? Well, we saw a whole spectrum of activation. Safety is always the number one priority. Once we know that our residents are safe, or our members or our participants are safe, the next thing after that, hopefully, is to engage, because we had this one issue, COVID-19, a really big issue, but as soon as we were safe, the next issue started to be physical decline, isolation, just plain boredom. And I know on kind of first glance, these things might not seem to be that big of a deal compared to a deadly virus. But once we're safe, that became the biggest thing that we all need to be worried about. So I saw kind of two ends of the spectrum and everything in between. So I'm going to talk first about the holistic approach. So these are the individuals who took a very multidimensional, very holistic approach to this time. They knew, okay, we're not having meals in the dining room anymore. We're not having programs in the recreation center. So we have to find a way to keep our residents active, keep them moving, keep them intellectually engaged, keep them socially connected. We got to find a way to do this. And so this is where our incredible recreation teams, they stepped up to the plate and they got creative. I have seen so much creativity. I remember the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, where we started to see things like hallway bingo, hallway crafts. We started to see carts coming about on our Facebook and LinkedIn channels. And, this was starting to become the wave of ensuring, okay, our residents are safe, but now they're also engaged. Now I want to kind of flip to the single focus approach. And so this is where people focused on the safety, just like the holistic approach did, but they didn't take it much further than that. And, unfortunately, a lot of times that stems from not a good understanding of the value and the importance you have in your recreation leader within your senior living building. And so for those organizations, I want you to kind of think, and if you're an executive director or general manager or someone in executive leadership watching this today, I want you to think, did you see a decline in your residents and your participants and your members? And if you did you have a recreation or life enrichment individual who was running programs? Because if you did, hopefully you wouldn't have seen that. But unfortunately, in some cases, we were seeing recreation staff being pulled away to do things like screening and temperature checks and tray delivery. And I know what you might be thinking is, I need those things to get done. I didn't have enough bodies. I had no choice but to pull recreation away. But what I really want you to think about, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, is that in taking that person away to this new job, you might have done more harm than good on the resident side of things for their engagement, both physically, intellectually, socially. We'll talk about all 6 of the dimensions later. And then we've got people all in between. So I don't want to make anyone feel bad or kind of point the finger, but this is really meant to be an opportunity for you to review what have the past almost 5 months looked like. Are you seeing those declines? And if you are, hey, that's why you should stick around today, and we're going to talk about it as we move forward. Now, I want to talk as well about people in the community. So in the community, it's really, really tough. It's funny, senior living was getting this really, really bad rap for, they were thinking that bad things were happening to the older adults living in this situation. But for me, I'm really, really concerned about the older adults who live in the community. I know so many older adults who live on their own. They're so independent. They used to go, swimming every day. They go down to their community center to play bridge. They've got all these friends. They live such active lives. And for those individuals, they're now home. They are home now, and if you're really trying to take care of each other, maybe their kids are not even, or their grandkids are not even able to visit because they maybe go to work and don't want to, get grandma or grandpa or mom or dad sick, possibly because maybe they have been infected. So, those are the individuals that I'm really worried about. And if you are in the recreation or fitness center setting, senior centers, community centers, it is really, really important that if you haven't found a way to connect with your people, you need to do it. And we're going to talk about some different things for you to try to do that a little bit later as well. So what have been some best practices, okay? What have been the things that are going really, really well? I think tough times breed innovation, and that's the biggest, most amazing thing I've seen come out of this. And from all the recreation individuals I talk to, a lot of them feel like re-energized. It can be, if you've been in the recreation field a long time, even though it's a lot of fun, sometimes you can feel like, okay, what am I going to do next? How do I keep my energy up? So this is an opportunity to have a new challenge and try your hand at programming in a different way. And so some of the best practices that we've seen is meeting them where they're at. So whether that's in senior living or in the community, whatever it might be, what we saw is, okay, all group programming is canceled. Now, instead of group programming in the fitness center or the multi-purpose room, let's take the programming to the residents. Let's do fitness in the hallways. Let's take a cart for our happy hour down the hallways. Let's give out puzzle packages. Let's connect via Zoom and still have our coffee and conversation group. So this has been really, really interesting from a participation perspective, and especially in senior living. We've always had those residents who just wanted to stay in their room and didn't want to come out. Maybe they like to read or watch TV or paint, whatever it might be. They were really wanting to stay in their room. And it's interesting that now that there's a fitness class happening right outside my door, people are like, well, I'll take part in this fitness class for today, or, yeah, sure, I'll take that puzzle package and I'll fill out that puzzle package. So I think it's really, really interesting that from a senior living perspective, we can sometimes have seen an increase in engagement and participation because now we're meeting our participants where they're at, okay? Same thing goes with communities and fitness centers. So one example I have is one of our Stronger Youth Student Sponsorship host organizations, the Good Companions 50 Plus Club. Shout out to Good Companions. So we have students who teach the Stronger Youth Senior Fitness Program at their building. When COVID hit, our student went to virtual. And what we actually saw was an increase in participation. Who would have known? So once again, people didn't want to maybe come in to take a fitness class in the morning. Instead, they just wanted to log in online, and we saw a lot more participating. So I think that's really great. Next is stretching your offering. Again, this comes back with the creativity. We've seen so much creativity during this time where, people say, okay, I can only have 5 people in my class. And so how do I get to everyone? Well, I've seen people do things like they're teaching their fitness class, they're 5 or 10 people. They've got their iPad in front of them, filming them live on Zoom or FaceTime, and they've got another 10 or 15 or 10 or 5 residents, 15, as we're getting larger groups in the theater, going along with the program. So this is a way to expand the offering. We're not just limited by 5 in one room. Another thing is being able to just film yourself teaching a fitness class. I saw so many people decide to film themselves and then just kind of play it on a loop. So again, in non-COVID times, you had this empty theater or this empty fitness center where there wasn't always a program going on throughout the day, and now you've got this video on replay, so you can have many, many people come to your programs. Also for the fitness and recreation setting, this is a time where we're starting to reopen and we're starting to look at how many participants that we can have in our spaces. And what we can start to see is that you might want to offer a virtual aspect to your programming where, hey, I can only have 10 people in this space, but maybe what I'd like to do is have people join in from home at a reduced or even free cost. Just because you want to be able to help them as well. And I guarantee if you're going to offer something reduced or free virtually, your participants are going to be so much better off for it. They're going to be loyal, and when they can come back to you and pay for it, I'm sure they're going to be able to do it. Another thing we're seeing is a more personalized approach, and this is a piece I love, love, love. So again, I go back to senior living. In senior living, we typically have recreation assessments. We get to know the resident. We then use that information to inform the programming. And when you have, 100 plus 200 residents, even though you have all these individualized information of what they want to take part in, you've only got so much space on the calendar. But what's been really cool is we've been able to see people going door to door, being concerned about engagement and saying, hey, Mrs. Smith, how can I engage you? Do you want a puzzle package? Do you want printouts for the exercise program? Do you want me to show you how to use your Zoom to call family? Do you want me to show you how to use Zoom so you can join in the coffee and conversation group? I think it's just been amazing what we've seen from a personalized approach. We've seen people starting to grant wishes, things like, if I could do one thing for you, what would it be? And sometimes it's as simple as, hey, I just want an ice cap from Tim Hortons, or sometimes it's something big like, I'd want to see the Northern Lights again, and, we can't maybe take them there, but we can maybe set up the Northern Lights in the theater or another space and have these really, really incredible opportunities for our residents to kind of live out their dreams during this time. And what's funny is, as I'm going through this list, a lot of what I'm saying we could have been doing in non-COVID, pre-COVID, right? And, we don't, because we're just going about our day, we're going about our job, and there wasn't a need to innovate. So one silver lining I would absolutely say has come from this is the innovation and the creativity that has spawned. I also love the whole team approach. And this goes back to that spectrum I was talking about earlier. I have seen some teams just really, really come together during this time. They're doing spirit days or dress up days where all the staff, wear blue or dress up in a Halloween costume or pajamas, or people in solidarity not getting their hair cut. I still have not got my hair cut. It's getting a little bit long. And so we're seeing teams really come together. I've seen residents, banging pots and pans on their balconies to say thank you for the frontline staff who continue to come into work every day for them. And then on the other side of it, we've seen staff, doing socially distanced conga lines down the hallways with music, and so that we can kind of get some energy and some excitement throughout the building. So I think this has been absolutely amazing, and recreation can't do it alone. So this really goes as a kudos to the other members of the management team in senior living, that you're able to bring people together and be able to have a lot of fun during this time. So I hope a lot of that sticks after this, and we kind of don't go back to our old ways of working in silos, but instead that we do continue on with that whole team approach. Outdoor program. We've also seen a ton of outdoor programming. Now that the weather is nice, people are getting outside for fitness and entertainment and so much more, and that's so great. There are so many benefits. of being outside. And so that's something that we're finally taking advantage of. You know, we could have always done fitness outside, but we never thought to because we have a perfectly good fitness center to be a part of. So I think it's really, really great that we're getting outside. It won't be so great once the weather starts to turn on us, especially for our western provinces where, you know, it's maybe just a month and a half before we get a bit colder. But for now, you know, let's keep taking advantage of that outdoor programming. And last but not least, another best practice I've seen, and certainly not the end of the list, but enough for us to touch on today, is better relationships. So I kind of already touched on the better relationships between staff and residents. You know, the staff really wanting to kind of engage the residents, take care of them, and then for the residents just being so thankful, even more thankful to the staff. But also we've seen better relationships with family. And I don't know about you, but I have definitely been FaceTiming or, you know, I think it's called house party, doing house party with my family and, you know, visually seeing them. And, you know, I live across the country from my family. And so I, you know, could have been doing these things all along, but it takes a pandemic, oddly enough, to start having these really meaningful kind of face-to-face conversations with our family. And so we're also seeing that with the residents' families. So as a recreation or another staff is setting up the Zoom, they are saying, oh, you know, hi, you know, Mrs. Smith's family, and Mrs. Smith's family is going back and saying, oh, you know, hi, Emily, how are you today? So, you know, they're so thankful for that opportunity to see their loved one, and I think it's building those better relationships between staff and family as well. So that's absolutely great. So what role does recreation and fitness play moving forward? Well, if you haven't already picked it up, they play a huge, huge, huge role moving forward. You need to absolutely look at your past 5 months and say, hey, what were the successes? What are the opportunities? I think initially we kind of battened down the hatches and we were, you know, staying and we were hoping this was going to be over soon. And then I think we realized that we had to stop holding our breath and we had to just start living. And that's where we're at right now. You know, COVID-19 is still around us. It's still something that we're going to have to deal with, but we have to live our lives still. And so this is where, if you're an executive director or a general manager, you know, from an executive point of view, you know, how are you leveraging recreation to keep your residents physically strong? If you're seeing physical declines, you need to address that right away, because I have seen places where there's been a decline in physical fitness, an increase in falls, and that is a whole other downward spiral. Same thing with just our overall health. If we have less physical fitness, we are less likely to be able to ward off something like COVID-19. It's pretty staggering. Over a 3-week period, we can actually see a 27% decrease in cardiovascular endurance and about a 0.5% atrophy in muscular strength. So this is really, really big. We cannot allow that to happen, because then our residents are not going to be well prepared should they come into contact with COVID-19. Let's talk about how we move forward. I've got my 6 dimensions of wellness wheel here, and this is how we move forward. We ensure that all of our bases are covered. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the wheel with the physical, because we just talked about physical. So what does your fitness programming look like? And the tough part about this may be that your recreation professional may have been not the person who taught the fitness classes. You may have had outside people coming in to teach fitness. And so now your recreation professional might be thinking, oh gosh, you know, what do I do to keep them active? So number one is get certified, okay? I know you're thinking, I don't have time to get certified in senior fitness right now. I'm dealing with a global pandemic, Emily, but I want to use Berwick Retirement Communities as an example. They just certified their staff as Stronger You Senior Fitness instructors during the pandemic. So it is absolutely possible. They already had exceptional programming, but they wanted to make it even better, so they brought on the Stronger You Senior Fitness program. And as well, you don't have to go to a course. A lot of courses are being canceled right now. You can do the Stronger You Senior Fitness course online at your own pace around your busy schedule. That's number one. Get a physical program in place. Let's go on to social. So we'll go this way on our, or rather this way on our wheel here. Social. So what are you doing to keep people socially connected? Are you doing the Zooms and the FaceTimes with family? If you are, that's fantastic. But how are you getting residents to connect with one another? It's good that we're starting to have the ability to have larger groups because then we can socially connect that way. But take this as an opportunity. While you can have people in groups in the same room, just in case there's a second wave, start to have people, you start to show people how to use things like Zoom. Zoom is so easy, especially on the participant side of things. On the participant side of things, all they have to do is just click a link. If they can click a link and join, they're in. There's not a whole lot to do after that fact. On the facilitator side, there's a couple things, but even then, if you run into something, there is so many tutorials. There's so many people willing to help you. I remember early on when this started, I had a question about doing Zoom classes. I couldn't get my music quite right. And I saw someone giving someone advice on Facebook, on one of my Facebook groups. And I went in and I said, hey, this is the problem I'm having. Do you know how to fix it? And she told me how to fix it. And it was so simple. So, don't be afraid if technology is not your forte. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to get over it. And you're going to have to, for the sake of your participants, your members, your residents, whatever it is, you're going to need to get with the virtual programming. And so then it's really great because you can start to see things like, conversation and coffee groups, but from everyone from their own suite. I've also seen people doing things like groups bingo. So let's say they've got 5 people in one room with an iPad, 5 people in the other room with an iPad, and they're all on Zoom, so they can all see each other. And so that's kind of a great social aspect. And then you've got one person in the, the recreation office on the computer calling the numbers. So there's definitely a way to maintain that social aspect of programming. And then next on to spiritual there. So many churches have opted that they're not going back into services right now, or maybe they're not going to go back until September. And in the meantime, they're doing streaming services. And this is great because I can remember so many recreation professionals who said, I can't get a chaplain or a priest to come in. There's not enough of them. There's too much people asking them to come in. And so this is a great opportunity to now stream those services. And I would be surprised if those went away. I think those will probably stick around because different churches are going to realize, hey, we can reach people, let's say you move across the country, but you still want to go to your church service with your pastor, with your priest. You've got the availability to do that. So I think that's going to definitely stick around. And then we've got that vocational or that purposeful dimension of wellness, community engagement. So it can be as simple as a walking challenge. Let's set a goal for how many steps or kilometers or walks, whatever you want to do, and they can work towards that and feel that sense of accomplishment. Different wellness challenges, scavenger hunts, where it gives residents or members or participants a real purpose of something to do. I've even seen people in their lawns putting up little scavenger hunts. So they'll kind of put on a little piece of paper, find a sock, find a bunny, find a red ribbon, and you kind of look around the lawn for the thing. So, really cool things like this. Emotional. What are you doing to give your residents, your participants, your members an outlet to express their emotions, to let their creativity and kind of have an outlet, especially during this time where we've got maybe a lot of emotions that we're dealing with, an opportunity to have those kind of be expressed. And so I love Painting with Jane on YouTube. That's something you should definitely check out. If you can't have your normal painting instructor in, check out Painting with Jane on YouTube and follow along, just painting. She's got hundreds of videos, all different experience levels from beginner to medium to advanced, and so definitely take advantage of that. It could be, I should go back to actually vocational. I forgot I wanted to mention this, but it could be writing letters to people. This kind of falls under emotional and vocational, where you're writing letters to pharmacists who are doing COVID testing. Or it could be with kids. Like I know a lot of people had reading buddy programs where they would read to little kids. So now I've seen people recording their stories and sending them to the daycare, so that the daycare can still say, hey, look, Mrs. Smith is still reading you, her story. And last but not least, intellectual. So we still want to keep the brain engaged, want to keep learning new things. So things like virtual speakers. all the speakers that you had come to your building or your organization before, you can have them do that online. And this is where as well I talk about stretching your resources. Many organizations have sister organizations, so work together. If you've got one speaker coming in, let your other organizations know and allow them to also plug into that as well. We're all really, really busy during this time, so if we can stretch what we're planning, that's going to be so much better. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much, everyone. If you're watching this now or later, and after we end, please feel free to throw in your experience. What's been working well? What the opportunities are? I'd love to hear from you. And I just want to as well take an opportunity to remind you about the new kind of mini series called Fitbits. So I know, like I said, it is sometimes hard to be able to commit to a full 30 minutes on a Friday. So you can watch this later or throughout the week. I'm going to be giving you those small bits of these episodes that I do every single week. And so they're in a little bit more of a bite-sized way for you to consume. So thank you very much, everyone. If you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out to me. You can reach out to me on Facebook or LinkedIn or on my email, emily@strongeryouthseniorfitness.com. Next week, we are talking about taking your walking program to the next level. Okay, I'm really excited about this. If you know me, you know in addition to all the great program we do with Stronger Youth Senior Fitness, the supplemental to that is walking. Walking has so much opportunity, so many benefits, and I'm going to talk to you about taking your walking program up a level. So join me next week, same time, same place, and have a wonderful day, everyone. We'll see you soon.